Hello everybody, I'm Matt Forsyth and you're listening to the 11 o'clock Waffle. On this week's show, 3 guests from Falmouth University, a fresh-faced first year, a veteran third year, and the girl who never left. First up, he lists Doctor Who, Kick-Ass, and most importantly John Barrowman amongst his likes on Facebook. Already in with a strong chance of winning on his debut, it's Tommo Walker.
Hello, it's good to be here. I have no idea what I'm doing. Seriously, why did you let me on? I really don't know anything about waffles, pastries or anything.
Oh, don't worry, it's not that kind of show.
Oh, great.
If you're in Feckles, I'm sure you'll be fine at this.
Okay, good.
Our second guest tonight is responsible for our full new logo and background image. She completed her degree in graphic design last Friday and now takes on the challenge of the waffle. Please welcome Aislinn Toye.
Hi!
Hello, you excited to be on?
Hello. Yeah. First, I think, a little bit nervous. It's my first time. Be gentle.
Oh, don't worry.
It begins.
It begins, yeah.
And finally, after 5 years of performances with Feckles, she has taken her last bow. You might remember her as the bearded man in Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing, or from a 5/11 performance in Dr. Faustus as elderly bearded man. It's the ultimate bearded lady, Lucy Ahmed.
I wanna be a producer.
Hi, Mike.
With a
I'm
hit
good, how are
show
you?
on Broadway.
Thanks for the wonderful intro.
Just going through
I'm
your
loving
past
that.
performances.
And old bearded man is the
Pretty
thing
much
that stands
voice
out.
cast now.
Fantastic. That's my career sorted.
Okay, so over the next sort of 45 minutes-ish, we're going to be waffling about the week's news. Let's begin. So, question number 1. Goalkeeper Ronan Lacroix was left in tears after his debut for Paris Saint-Germain lasted just 21 minutes before he was sent off. To give me other examples of bad first days at the office, Lucy, you're the experienced one here, you can start.
Okay, so I wasn't entirely sure what you were going with this question. If you wanted, like, personal stories or if you wanted famous things that have gone wrong. This isn't really like first day at the office, but first day at school. And I'm going to go down the film route of Finding Nemo. Nemo is captured on his first day of school, and then his father has to go and find him across the ocean. I feel that's a pretty bad way to start your school career.
Pretty bad. I really need watery sound effects on here, don't I?
Yeah, I think you do.
I could start drinking if you want.
Okay, Tommo, bad firsts.
Bad first days? Well, I chose to, go with every stormtrooper that ever existed in the Star Wars universe. Because they get killed mercilessly. I mean, for the first day, those could have been any droids, I say. I mean, mistaking... Of course, they were the droids they were looking for, but, it's an easy mistake with all the droids going about, Tatooine. And then the Death Star exploded. How many people's first days could it have been when it exploded?
And their guns never actually hit the target they're aiming for. They hit everywhere.
Well, they're always set to stun.
Badly trained then.
Well, again, they're badly trained, and they get killed when, all they want to stun Princess
Leia
to
to
capture
Ashley's
them.
never seen Star Wars.
They won't. What?
Don't
What?
worry, I have a
I've never had
I have
the
a romantic
inclination.
weekend lined up involving the 6 films.
Oh god.
Oh, happy birthday.
No, it should be 3 films, Matt. What are you doing?
3. No, it's 7. You got the
Don't-
Christmas special.
Don't show the prequel stuff.
I feel like my life is being decided for me, like my...
Sensitive was a
Retrospect
good
was
film.
pretty good. It made up for the other 2, which are terrible. Anyway, we digress.
God,
Aislinn.
I hate it.
Well, I went down the factual route. I actually looked up a news story because I don't really have any bad first days of my own. So I came up with a news anchor in America, North Dakota, called AJ Clement. I'm not going to say what he said, but he literally got fired on his first day because about 3 seconds into being on air, he uttered the F and the S word. I could repeat it, but I've been told I'm not allowed.
Fine, I have a sound effect for it.
Oh, I'm not
So
gonna.
we can say shit and fuck anytime we want.
But yeah, so apparently he didn't realise his microphone was on, but he basically got fired because they're told as news anchors to always assume that the microphone is on. he got fired. I think that's a pretty bad start, really.
Pretty bad. Question number 2. Shops could face legal action over lads' mags causing sexual harassment because of scantily clad women featured on their front covers. So, flipping it round, who's your favourite piece of male eye candy? Aislinn.
I literally had to stop and think for a second, because there's quite a lot of eye candy out there, to be honest.
Thank you. Your compliments mean too much to me.
You know how you could score top points on this round.
Oh, I could, but I'm not going to. No, I stopped for a few minutes and then I thought, actually, no, this is a really easy question. Ever since I started watching True Blood on HBO, there are a fair few people on that, but I think it was either the 3rd or the 4th series where there's a storyline between Suki and Eric, and they have copious amounts of sex on screen, which pretty much sparked off a lustful relationship between myself and Alexander Skarsgård. He's American, but he's also, I think, Norwegian.
Is he the son of Stellan? Is he the son of
Huh?
Stellan?
Stellan?
Stellan Skarsgård.
I don't know. Maybe.
He might be, actually. Or it just
be
might be a
honest-
really common name.
To be honest, for me, he's eye candy. I don't care about his history or his personality.
Tommo, favourite piece of male eye candy?
Now, I thought this was unusual to ask me because I'm about 30% sure that I'm straight. So I just went with my usual reply. Stephen Merchant is my man god.
Oh, God.
He's a 6'7", gorgeous, fuzzy-faced, blonde-haired, blue-eyed masterpiece with glasses. What?
Lucy.
I mean, ever since...
Sorry, Tommo, go on.
I mean, it's just, I've, ever since, the old XFM kid, he's just so gorgeous.
See, I wonder who your favourite piece of male eye candy is.
Simon Neil from the lead singer of Biffy Clyro.
Is that a
David Tennant.
shock answer in there? Is that?
I didn't say David Tennant. Ha.
I know.
My God.
This is just like outrageous. What's going?
Look, David is the love of my life, but he's not
More about the
exactly
accent.
eye candy.
It's more about the accent, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chicks dig the accent.
Nice, rich Scottish.
Question number 3. A strain of cockroaches in Europe have become resistant to the sugar traps used to kill them. So give me examples of animals' defensive evolution.
Right. This is actually quite I don't know, like, I googled, of course, I needed to, because there was a few things that came to mind. I was going to say humans, but I've changed my mind, and I've gone with, recently they've noticed that in the wild, the elephant is evolving slightly, and they're losing their tusks.
You've gone for exactly the same story I went for. No,
That's fair enough. Yeah, no,
last research.
well, like I said, I was going to say humans have evolved greatly into the monsters that we are, but I think the fact that elephants are losing their tusks is ridiculously awful and tragic. The reason being, obviously, is because the larger elephants that had the tusks originally being killed off by poachers, so their genes are being lost through the times, and now, yeah, as I said, they're losing their ivory tusks, which is sad because they use them to help dig and forage for food.
Okay. Aislinn, did you say you had the same story?
Yeah. I don't really know what to go with now. I suppose if we go back maybe further, if we're not looking at recently, I don't know how long they've been doing it for, but if you think about the fact that like cats land on their feet, I mean that's got to be evolutionary at some point because they like climbing high things, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, all my hard-earned research has gone out the window, but I guess for that I'll go with cats because they flip, and if you attach toast to the other side of them, then you always get butter side up.
Tommo. Animal evolutions.
Science!
Yes? Well, I went with the sea pig. Now, I studied these sea pigs by looking at land pigs, and they look completely different. Well, the sea pigs are kind of sea cucumber, and to defend themselves, they excrete their respiratory organs all over the attacking animals. Needless to say, they're confused. So I was just thinking, if I end up getting mugged when I go back to Reading eventually, and my default is to drop my trousers, turn around, and shit my lungs all over them, I don't know what's going to happen to me.
That's fantastic.
It just might work.
That's not a mental image I needed.
Okay.
I'm done.
Right, so that's the end of the first round. So before we go on, Ashlyn, you designed the logo for us. Yeah, you can have some extra points.
Yeah. Yay! Probably because I need them.
Favoritism.
Not really favoritism. I have
Okay,
skills.
so time.
You're cheating.
Good things
You're
Time
sleeping
to
with the
stop
host.
now.
who work.
In last place
Because
on
life.
10 points, it's Lucy. On 11 in second, it's Ashlyn. And in the head for excreting over his muggers, it's Tommo.
Yes. What a crazy random happenstance.
That's
This is
true.
We're just answering with Star Wars.
I'm a
Question
winner.
number 4 now. Arrested Development has returned on Netflix, and some fans spent all of Sunday binging on the new series. But which series would you devote an entire Sunday session to watching, and why? Tommo.
What?
Your answer to the question, please.
What? Oh yeah. Let me get my piece of paper. I would rewatch the entire series of Death Note in Japanese dub, simply because I know the story is just amazing with the plot twists and various things. That, and because I lack intelligence, I would probably have to rewatch it to know what the hell's going on.
Lucy.
Series 4 of Doctor Who, because I love the relationship between the Doctor and Donna. But not the specials, because they were awful.
Yeah, they sucked.
And Ashlyn.
Well, I think it's hard for me to choose a particular series, but I mean, I caught up with the first 6 seasons of Grey's Anatomy over about 2 weeks when I first discovered it. I mean, it's probably I would go back and watch like a couple of the earlier ones, because a lot of characters that, basically died off and you never got to see again, and actually they were some of the better characters. But, I mean, like, the reason I love Grey's is because you see so many actors and characters from like other shows. In I think one of the last episodes I watched, one of your favourites, Sarah Chalke, who plays Elliot in Scrubs, played a single mother. So it's like really nice to see a well-known character like being played, the actor playing another role. And it continues through Grey's Anatomy. Really, I mean, it's got everything. It's drama and humour, but the first couple of seasons, I think were more funny. It's kind of gone very catastrophic towards
Everybody
like the
dies,
9th
don't they?
season. Everyone dies all the time. It's like anytime there's a season finale, something ridiculous happens. I mean, there's been like a mass shooting, a plane crash, someone drowned, or nearly drowned, someone on the main cast died.
Question number 5.
Always.
The voice has been confirmed for a 3rd series. Now, if you've watched it, during the audition rounds, whilst William, Jesse and Danny sit chatting amongst themselves about the performers, Tom Jones just sits staring into the distance. So what I want to know is, what is he thinking? Ashlyn.
Who knows what's in that deep Welsh valley of his mind? I think there's something quite deep there, but I think the best I can come up with is he's probably thinking about the most heavenly cheese platter there is. He looks like a cheese eater to me. He's probably thinking about a nice little Wensleydale on the side. The only other thing I could suggest is, alternatively, it's kind of that Eddie Izzard sketch, and he always looks spaced out and then always looks a little bit sad later, so I think he's like sitting there like, did I leave the gas on? And in Eddie Izzard style, it would be like, no, I'm a fucking squirrel.
Lucy next.
He's probably thinking, what the fuck am I doing here, and who are these 3 people sitting next to me? You know, the strange thing about Tom Jones being on that show is he doesn't really fall into the demographic that show is particularly aiming for. So I'm not entirely sure why he's there. I mean, he's obviously a very talented man. He can sing like ridiculously well, and he's had so many hits under his belt, but I don't know, he always just seems so confused, not only just by the people around him, but like the actual auditions that he's listening to. He just always looks so perplexed as to why he's actually sitting there. It's like, does he know what he signed up for?
Could just be pondering the intricacies of the universe, just trying to come to his own conclusions about what the hell's going on.
And Tommo, what do you think Tom Jones is thinking about?
What Brian Blessed would look like wearing a bikini. It's the only thing that came to my mind, really.
It's a disturbing thought that I'm sure we all think of at some point.
I was going to say, I think it's just Brian Blessed in a swimsuit that's come to your mind, Tommo.
Shut up.
So true.
Okay, now number 6 now. Trafalgar Square is to mark 350 years of West End theatre. But if you could see any show that is currently being performed in the West End, what would it be? Tommo?
Well, I went with... Okay, I did a fair bit of research because I don't know what's on at the West End, so I just went with Les Mis, just because I saw the movie and might as well see the original show, and I think I would enjoy it more if I didn't have a person sobbing next to me watching it. I think it really, I don't think I really enjoyed it as much as I would having to cater to the needs of this crying man when I'm at cinema.
I'm trying to work out who it is.
Nothing special, really.
Lucy?
Do you know how hard this question is to me? I had about a million things come into my head, and I was like,
Oh, well, we'll go to Aislinn then and come to you later.
No. I don't have an answer. Obviously, I was going to say Les Mis, because, that's one show you have to see as a, musical fan. But I was probably going to go with something like The Lion King, just because of the technical spectacle that it is. I've not seen a production of that scale before, and that would be fantastic to see. Something like Lion King, definitely.
Okay, and Aislinn, lastly.
Mine should be fairly obvious, really. Mine would be Matilda the Musical, purely because the music and the lyrics are by my absolute hero, Tim Minchin. Very funny Australian comedian who I absolutely adore, really. And I'm not really big on West End shows or musicals, but I've seen a couple of clips from that and I just want to see it. It's so cleverly written, I just need to see that.
Can I just mention, for that reason, obviously Spamalot.
Yes, about Spamalot?
Well, fantastic lyrics and great comedy. That would be awesome to see as well.
Okay, so we are 6 questions in, and it's time for the second round of scores. In last place on 22 points, it's Lucy.
Woo.
Narrowly ahead on 23, it's Tommo.
Yeah, I'm
And
not
on
as good.
24 in the lead, it's Aislinn.
Sarah Chalk all the way.
Sorry, dying.
Okay.
Dying. I need competitors.
Okay, so at this point in the show is when we do the teaser question that goes on the Twitter and Facebook page. This week's teaser was in relation to a fake Psy appearing at the Monaco Grand Prix, and all of the celebrities were getting their pictures taken with him and putting them on Twitter because they were really psyched to be there with him. Then found out it wasn't actually the star of Gangnam Style. So our question was greatest fraud artist. Chris thought he'd won it, being the reply for an hour, with Frank Abagnale. Rachel came in as well. We've also got a couple of answers there from Benny and Tony, but the winner this week is James Miller. I will read out his explanation for why he's won. He was at the MCM in London on Sunday.
Awesome.
He wasn't in costume. He just had his usual array of beige garments on with a cool Australian hat with the teeth. This Polish girl asked him who he replied that he came as the Beige Avenger, a little-known character from an obscure anime she'd never seen, to which she says, "Ah yes, I see," nodding her head and narrowing her eyes in a knowingly like she knew exactly who my made-up persona was. So James is this week's winner for actually being the fraud himself.
That's awesome.
And he apparently is going to write a comic about it now.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Should point out we are on Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, so just search for the 11 o'clock waffle and you'll see our amazing artwork, which I think deserves another point actually. And question number 7. Everton fans have called the redesign of their club badge embarrassing. So which other rebrands are worse than the original? Lucy, we'll start with you on this.
Back in the 80s, Coca-Cola tried to rebrand as New Coke. It lasted about 3 months, and then they had to go back to the original recipe and back to the original name of Coca-Cola.
Okay, and Tommo?
Well, I went with a lot of horror remakes, from recent years. Starting with Psycho, 1998. Vince Vaughn should not have played Norman Bates. He's not creepy at all.
Oh God, no.
He's anti-creepy. He's like camp horror. And then there was Nightmare on Elm Street 2010, and it's not memorable. The twists, it lacks depth. And Freddy, instead of being a crazed murderer, was actually turned into who, instead of, preying on, revenge, was just out to get these kids because they ratted them out to the police. And then I went with Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, the one with Gary Oldman. One, Keanu Reeves shouldn't be allowed to star in anything. There's a gorilla rape scene halfway through where Gary Oldman turns into this ape bat creature and rapes this woman quite brutally. And, it's very atmospheric, but Keanu Reeves helped the whole thing being Keanu Reeves.
There's a bonus point if anybody knows who Gary Oldman was married to.
I'm not looking at Google right now. It's okay.
I have this feeling that her name was Sylvia, but I don't know anything else.
Uma Thurman. Uma Thurman?
Uma Thurman?
Oh, God.
It's not a pairing you ever expected.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming.
Aislinn, graduate, almost.
The best one I've got is Gap. Gap recently tried to redo their logo sometime between last year, I think. Not between last year, just last year. It got revoked after only a week of public release because there was so much outrage online. I think a lot of people felt like if it's not broken, don't fix it, as they say. But I mean, equally the same I think goes for eBay, which has actually had its rebrand and it's stuck to it, which kind of fits with the question more, I think. eBay went from having like a solid piece of design, like this really nice logo with all the sort of funky, it was obviously handcrafted, it was a logo, and they've literally just sort of changed it into a typeface with 4 different colours on each letter, and it doesn't do anything for it. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't make it neater. It just makes it less of a unique logo.
Okay, question 8. Police warned the organisers of the Gloucestershire cheese rolling event that they could be liable for legal action in the event of an incident. On top of this, the lady who makes the cheese itself was warned she could be prosecuted and as a result decided not to make the cheese this year. So other examples of when health and safety has gone too far. We'll start with Aislinn on this one.
Okay, my answer is health and safety in schools. I've witnessed it firsthand. I've heard things from other teachers
Who's
and
typing?
ladies and stuff. It's just not me.
It's not me.
Lucy,
Point.
Sorry.
why hast thou forsaken me?
Hang on,
Shall I
taking
start
point
again?
off Lucy. Hang on, what?
Why?
Betrayal.
What are you taking me points off for?
Typing over my speaking in it.
Sorry, I didn't realise you'd pick it up. Sorry.
Clunking of a keyboard. Go on, Aislinn.
My answer is health and safety in schools. Having seen it firsthand and heard things from like other teachers and stuff whilst I've been there, it's just getting beyond a joke now because there's all this mass hysteria in the media about paedophilia and all these people and stuff. So they've kind of clamped down on what anyone can do around children. So you've got people like my aunt, who's a 60-year-old woman working as a dinner lady in a primary school, and if a kid falls over and grazes his knee, she's not allowed to apply a plaster. She's not allowed to like touch him. She has to give him the plaster, has to apply it himself, like no matter how young he is. I mean, another example is like also teachers can no longer like retain. I don't think retain is the right word. Restrain violent pupils to stop them from hurting. Like, they can only restrain them if they're hurting another pupil, but if, like, they're lashing out at the teacher kind of just has to take it because they're not allowed to, like, hold them or stop them. And it's left us in this really awkward position where, like, children now have more power than we do, and that's the respect that they need to run a classroom without incident. And equally, like, the parents are really bad for that as well. If you have a parents' evening, you say to like the parents of this child, "Oh, your son's really violent," like a lot of the parents will just be like, "I think you're lying. How dare you say that about my child?" And it leaves us in a really awkward position.
Okay, Tommo, next.
Okay, I was scared that I skipped this question while researching 10 minutes ago, but I came onto a Daily Mail article from 2 years ago about a playground in Allagate, which was basically bare except for like one little rocking motorbike. It was just so overzealous that I just couldn't help but laughing. So they took away everything. The slide was too steep, and there was a chance that, because of the joining of the metal, it could just, rip a kid's skin off or something like that. The swing was too low to the ground, so little kids, you can't do it for the little kids. and the roundabout was travelling too fast and angled at a angle of more than 5 degrees. So there was a chance that you could like spin off and enter space time or something like that. It was just so insane. I just wrote it down.
Okay, and Lucy, really needing the points after your clunkering in the background.
Sorry. I was actually going to go with something that happened to me when I was working in an office recently. I wasn't allowed to lift out the rubbish bag from the bin, and I couldn't understand why. And the manager kept coming in and saying, no, you're not responsible for that. And I couldn't understand. It was because they didn't have insurance in case that I was going to hurt my back or something like that if I was to lift the rubbish bag out of the bin. Someone who was insured had to do it, which to me is insane. I'm not going to hurt my back lifting out a big bag, and I'm not going to sue because of this.
Wow. Even change a rubbish bag. Okay, so that is the last of the questions. So we're going to do the scores first of all. On 27 points, it's Lucy, and on 31, it's both Aislinn and Tommo.
Fight.
Although,
Mortal Kombat.
I am clamping down on the swearing now, and I have been making notes, so points are going to be coming off, which, if I do my maths quickly, makes the scores 26 to Lucy, 28 to Tommo, and
You suck.
30 to Aislinn.
You've never mentioned a swearing rule before.
Yeah, this is. I
You
call
haven't done that
I
on
call
any of the
shenanigans.
other shows. Why are you suddenly
Shenanigans.
taking points off for swearing?
Oh,
Shenanigans.
such bad losers.
Bad losers.
There's
There's
everything
one
still
more
to
round
play.
left.
Okay,
It's
fine.
the fact or fiction round, which requires our three guests to present a news headline followed by a 15-second summary of the story. The story can either be true and something from the past week's news, or it can be entirely fictional. The other guests then have to guess whether the story is in fact or fiction, with points awarding accordingly. And I will be giving out points of 3, 2 and 1 in the order of which I find the most interesting. So Aislinn, as you're in the lead, you get to pick the running order at this stage.
I'd like to go second. I'd like Tommo to go first.
And Lucy last. Okay, so Tommo, what is your news headline first of all, please?
Man in Australia caught watching porn.
Okay, and 15 seconds, give the story.
Basically, the man was watching porn with a window open, very loud, got very disgruntled and thought that, a woman was being attacked and his flat broke in and said, "Where is she?" And then, the facade went away and he was caught with his trousers around his ankles.
Okay, after you're next, what's your headline?
Large badger causes hysteria at girls'
Okay,
school.
and 15 seconds, go.
An oversized badger has been chasing after pupils during playtime. They've been to stay inside, and they have badger traps out, but it's apparently quite a ginormous badger. To be honest, I just like the headline.
And Lucy last of all.
My headline is 100% virgin hair advertised by New York Man.
Okay, and 15 seconds to give the details of that story. 100% virgin hair, go.
Basically, this man who's in his 30s is selling his 27-inch long hair, and he's claiming that it's never been dyed, permed, or chemically altered, or straighteners or hairdryers or anything like that used on it, and he's trying to sell it. He classes himself as an artist, and it's apparently jet black and raven, as he describes it, and he's asking about $600.
Okay, so we've got man watches porn, large badger causes hysteria at girls' school, and 100% virgin hair for sale. So what we'll do now is we'll go around and find out what our guests think, whether they're true or false or not, and then we will get the answers. So Aislinn, man watches porn in Australia?
I think it's false, just because I don't know that would actually make it into the news. We kind of have a lot worse things going on normally.
Lucy, true or false?
I think true.
Okay. Tommo.
Yeah.
Large badger causes hysteria at school, true or false?
True, just because I hate kids.
Okay, Lucy.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And last of all, 100% virgin hair. Tommo,
It's
true
probably
or false?
true. As much as I don't want it to be, it's probably true.
Aislinn?
It's true.
Okay, so man watches porn in Australia. Tommo, is that true or false?
It's true. It's on Russell Howard's Good News, so it's
Awesome.
about it. Yeah.
So Lucy gets some very valuable points there. Large badger causes hysteria at girls' school. Aislinn, is that true
It
or
is
false?
true. I literally chose it because I'm a dirty person.
Okay, so that's the split there between Tommo
Yep.
and Lucy. And last of all, 100% virgin hair,
It's
Lucy's
true.
fault. That means Tommo and Aislinn share the points there
Yeah,
as well.
I'm the best truth machine. It's good.
Okay, so I have the final scores now. On 31 points in last place, it's Tommo.
Yes, I suck.
Also on 31 points, tied with Tommo, it is Lucy, which means this week's winner on 33 is Aislinn.
Hey!
Congratulations, I think.
Lucy, you've lost.
I'm not surprised, Mac.
There are going to be cries of favoritism from all over the roofs.
Oh, I'm crying right now. It's messy. It's everywhere.
Okay, so that means that Lucy hasn't reclaimed top spot on the all-time winningest leaderboard.
Sorry,
alongside Ed.
winningest.
Winningest. The best
Winningest.
English.
I'd
Okay.
like to point out, earlier today, Mac told me off because he thought that I'd spelt tire the wrong way, even though he spells it the American way.
Like a car tire or two tires?
Yes, like a car tire.
You could spell it both ways.
Yes, but with a Y, it's American.
Since when?
Since ever.
Since when?
Since ever.
It's not too late for me to take points off, you know.
It is. You've proclaimed me winner.
Okay, so we'll be back next week with the penultimate show of the
Yay.
current run, and then after that, it will be our gaming special, which I will reveal a bit of information about. We are doing a 1 hour gaming special, which will deal with all things games. Confirmed for that show at the moment is Aislinn,
Wait.
Carla Smith, Edgar Duncan, and one more name yet to be decided. And
I'll do it.
and I can also say that Edgar is very kindly working on computer graphics, so it will be a visual episode. It's almost like 11 o'clock Waffle, the movie, is going to be made. And
Big promises, big promises.
on that bombshell, I thank my guests this week, Tommo Walker, Lucy Ahmed, and Aislinn Toye.
Good thing I got drunk for this.
We'll be back next week. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.